I decided about a week ago to remake the Kingdom of Zeal, or at least the island, as it is, of Zeal in goldsrc. Uh, this mostly came out as an idea, just out of the blue. I looked at the island and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And so I did. And I think the execution is enough for me to kind of just commentate about it and just talk about it for a while. So, what I'll attempt to do is I'll attempt to go through and show off the most I can of like this version as it is, Zeal Beta 2 or B2, and then go back through the earlier versions to just you know get a bit of an idea of how I went about developing certain things like the mountain and the landscape in itself, how like I dictated the size of everything and all that sort of jazz. There's also another aspect I just remembered being the sound, so I'm gonna raise that, and if it's a bit too muted or too much and you can't hear my voice, then I'll just change it. So yeah, I had the idea of just making this like a seamless thing where you can just climb up to the actual like second level of the mountain, because I'm pretty sure in Chrono Trigger you just kind of like go from that doorway to the other one with no real like transition or like interior. So I had to like conjure up some idea with a very limited amount of space, obviously, which I'm not too keen on, but it's good enough for what I wanted. Um, yeah, so there we have like the little spot with what would be normally the plane, which I didn't put because I made it in an earlier version. Thought, oh, this seemed fine. Like the size was decently accurate. It was bigger than the player, and I was like, okay, it's good. And I went to actually check for for references and realized, oh god, this is way oversized, and just didn't go about it. Let me try that. Okay. I won't go back through the story, but you get the gist of it. It's this plane too big, so I didn't bother making it. I just put like a Gauss gun over there and call it a day. Here's a waterfall. It's pretty neat. It was kind of a pain to kind of make this like slanted, like, and then like slanted transition to a hole, in the sense that like the actual thing is like a triangle. You just can't see because the texture kind of like hides it pretty well, and yeah, it like early on it bugged out and just didn't really look good. So I now have a rock launcher. So yeah, the idea came from just a spur of the moment. Like I'd gone about making like two kind of like jokey shitpost maps that same week. So I was like, you know what, I want to make something good. I want to make something that's legitimately like that where I could impress myself and my own abilities at like map making. And I decided to make Zeal because I thought, yeah, that's a pretty big ask. It's a big ass island with a lot of detail, which I sorely miss. Like, I don't have any fucking trees, but that's just because I kind of got over my own head with that and just didn't bother adding any. I like it's not really like a finished map, as I said earlier. It's B2, would be beta 2, but it's kind of what happens a lot of the time with my maps, where I work on them for about a week to a state where it's like good looking, And then like for any like additional polish or like neat little things I would really like blow it out of the water, I kind of just drop out and move on to something else, or just take a break for a while. It's evident with a couple of my earlier maps where it's like I really like did not take enough time out of my week to really like put all the effort, and just it kind of ruined the map in certain circumstances. Here we have the little like lake bed that kind of like explains the waterfall. It goes all the way down there, and, off the island. I had the idea of making these like less shallow because it's kind of silly to have it so shallow, but again, I didn't bother. I was just like, you know what, it's good enough. Like, it doesn't need to be deep, really. Like, it just works. And also, if I try to do it here, I probably would fuck up with like how the waterfall is all set up, and just it's just a mess. One thing that I wanted to figure out kind of early on was sound effects. So as you kind of heard earlier on, was the like sound effect of wind and like the wood creaking from the bridge, and there's a couple of other things like birds and more wood creaking, and just small things I thought was nice. I'm gonna show you a little secret. Here's the Zeal Palace, which I detailed pretty well, I think. You can't really see it from here, but earlier on it's way less impressive, and then I went back and actually figured out how it looked, and I was like, oh, okay. I looked around and found a couple of different models, like 3D models of the entire island, like some person had done and put on Sketchfab, and I was like, okay, I'll use this as like a small reference of certain pieces of the map, and it eventually inspired kind of like this, like little windows and like these little like pillars kind of like sticking out. I wanted, like real early on, I wanted to make the interior of Zeal Palace, and technically if I go and actually show you in the editor later on, you can see that there is space inside the mountain for like additional stuff. I could definitely have made the Zeal Palace interior, but I didn't exactly run out of like edict memory, or really like any like sort of resources, but I'm like really like scraping the edge of it, and I don't want to go overboard, even though like it's not that overboard. So yeah, I don't know. Let's go on over to the other map. Let's go back to A5 and just see the difference. It's gonna take a minute because this version is not packed in properly. Different skybox. Very much a different skybox. No weapons, no nothing. And the islands were not there just yet. Which I'm just gonna show you the like first version. I'm not good at this type of stuff. Alright, here's the Zeal as it was initially built. It was definitely like less than this early on, but this is basically what it was on the first version, like default texture, and then whatever I wanted, or whatever I had in the bank for like small additional like detail. So there's the mountain. The Zeal Palace is not there yet. I was kind of scared of making it. I was like kind of terrified of how it would look. But yeah, so many things are different. There's no underside. There's nothing. And generally everything is way less than you know, the end result. So there's like the entrance. I would come up to the second level. The bridge was not put in place just yet, and the back of the mountain was just completely like vacant. And that's kind of how it is at the end in B2, where like this entire like interior you see here is kind of just left vacant, but it's covered up with like, you know, the lake and the backside and, you know, the sky and everything. And it's the same thing back here, although it's way messier with the Zeal Palace. Yeah, so that's kind of how it goes. I'll jump a couple versions. I'll go to A3. And now there's water, there's the bridge, and yeah, a bit more, but still not like really polished. I was very hesitant of how I was going about a lot of the detail and like how it would like eventually look. I was not very like confident in my own abilities, but I pushed through and tried my best to figure out certain things. Okay, well, here's my solution. There you go. Yep. So yeah, as you can see, like the entire structure was put together, but I didn't have the scrolling texture for the water yet, and generally I didn't have any idea of how I was going about with the textures, so I held off from really doing anything more than just this texture and whatever I needed for like, you know, actual for you know, the actual like small pieces that weren't of the mountain. Yeah, let's do that again. Gotta find the weapon. So here's the early Zeal Palace. Oh, so I think. Oh yeah, no. I didn't have to because it's so dark. There's no lighting in here, so it's just like, there you go. I did that, but I didn't do the one down there because I was kind of scared. Here's the thing. Still the same. You know, a lot of the progression through the versions is more dependent on textures. Wherever like, if a spot is already like built, I'm not gonna try to like change it all together. I'm just gonna try to build off of it and just see what I can do, what I can't do, and kind of like cut off whatever is really not important. Oops. Let me get back there. I love the Gaussian. So yeah, there's the like early block out of the Zeal Palace, and it's pretty disgusting. It's barely recognizable. It's really like not good, and the backside of the mountain is just as much of like a fucking mess. I think I see somebody there. I don't know who that could be. So yeah, that's pretty much that. I love this bug that the 25th anniversary version brought, you know, this like weird thing. Oh, yep, where like the camera bugs out. Lovely. Either way. So let's go to A6. This one's a pretty substantial. This one's a pretty substantial upgrade. Basically, every texture has been figured out by this point, and nothing is really kind of like nothing that's not like just small detail is like missing. It's all pretty much there. The waterfall is here. The sound effects aren't here, but and like the sprite, like the small sprites for like the waterfalls, like kind of like fog or like smoke down there isn't there, and you know, the Zeal Palace is still not dealt with because fuck it, I hate it with a passion. But now, like, it actually has, like, you know, it actually has, like, the entire, you know, like, floor. It actually goes down. It's not just, like, a small drop. It's legitimately just a thing. I just hadn't done the underside of the island just yet because it ended up kind of being a pain, but it came out alright, you know, like, it's not terrible. It could have been worse. I think I can probably show it off in like B1 or maybe A9. I think one of those, they're like the underside is finished, but there's no kill box down here, so you can't, you know, just so I can't just go down here and like look around. As you can see from over there, my lovely shoddy fucking work of geometry to figure out the mountain really paid off and just gave holes and like under, like in between the islands, and it's a real treat. So yeah, that's A6. Let's go to A8. Let's see. Right. Now, this is kind of the problematic version, where I, oh fuck, there is a kill box. God damn it. Why? Why did I do that? Oh. Let's actually try A7. Okay, I think this should be good enough. So yeah, there's the little, like, city. I forget which one's this. I'm pretty sure it's like the small market one, but it might be called something else. Then there's the plane again. By now, that's pretty much figured out, but the back side of it is still not figured out. So yeah, I think if I go down here, okay, I won't die. But yeah, you can see how I tried making like the underside of the island as much as the underside of the islands, like the smaller islands are like, you know, more akin to an actual like floating island. This is like, you know, oh, you have walls, you have an underside, and that's it. I'm not like fucking. I didn't bother actually going through and making it like kind of like spiky or anything, because I just thought like the walls are enough. Like it's enough. I didn't want to bother with it. I was, you know, just lazy. The back side of this at least is like done. I'm really proud with the mountain. I think it's a really cool addition. Now we have light. And we have sound. Small sound, but still a pretty important piece of the whole thing. So yeah, this is like the version where everything kind of fell together and really started to work. And yeah, it's also laggy as shit, but might just be me. I don't know. Also, yeah, this like thing was like, I had the idea of like curving this, but it just kind of made it a pain to actually go up, so I just turned it back into like a normal, you know, just flat wall. We're no mountain goats now, are we? So, the things there just aren't done yet. It would be done A8, and yeah, that's about it. That's how it looks. Yep, that's about it.